Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 86. Now, we were due to have Leonie Gherkin-Schofield on today and potentially her sister, Michaela, who were the two sisters recently for Team GB out in the Winter Olympics. But unfortunately, Leonie messaged me yesterday. She has COVID at the moment, so she's not really feeling in the mood to do it at the moment, which is thoroughly understandable. So I'm just in the process. I'm going to go back to her with some more dates to reschedule that for slightly down the line. But it was actually a good opportunity for, well, let's introduce the usual suspects or the usual host before we go further. Mr. Paul Bassett, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm not bad. I'm kind of, it's nice and warm, isn't it, at the moment? I'm in a t-shirt. Yeah. I'm in the Health Oddity t-shirt. Can you not tell? It's been destroyed in the dryer.
Quality merchandise there.
Yeah.
Well, mine and Pete are absolutely fine still, I think.
Yeah.
But there's been a concerted effort to make sure it's definitely clean and definitely dry.
Okay.
Along with the kids' clothes. So you just have to be extra vigilant when it comes to children to make sure they're clean, and my stuff gets thrown in with it. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean you can tell that there was something there.
Is that genuinely what was the Health Oddity t-shirt?
Yes, it is. Yes, it's now just a beautiful grey t-shirt. Yeah, sorry.
It's been boiled multiple times. Okay, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Boiled within an inch of its life. Mr. Peter Lant, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I was just saying before we started recording, if you're worried about clothes being clean and stuff like that, just get a spaniel, and then you don't need to worry about it because they'll just be permanently dirty. So you just wash everything and it comes out still stained and everything, so it doesn't matter. And then when you're out and about walking him, you're in the middle of nowhere because you can't do it in built-up areas or anything like that, so nobody gets to see you anyway. So that's the way to do it.
So just embrace the slightly grubby lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. It's the way to do it. I do brush my teeth twice a day, though, so there you go.
Excellent.
So now, what about you, James?
I'm very, very good, thank you. Yeah, I was away, obviously, last week on holiday for a week in Tenerife, which was lovely with the family.
No phone.
Total technical detox, which was great. No phone, no news, no social media, no contact with anyone other than who I was physically in contact with. So no, it was lovely.
And did you miss much?
No. I don't know.
Funny, isn't it? It's funny, isn't it? I went away. We went away to Cuba, 2017, and there's no internet over there. There's nothing. So that was 10 days of nothing. I got back. Had loads and loads of notifications on my phone from Facebook and Instagram, blah blah. And look, there was nothing. No, I'd missed nothing.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think you just, I'm already looking forward to now. I'm going to do it for 2 weeks in the summer.
Yeah,
when we go to Crete, and it's absolutely fine. It's just so it's such a nicer way to live, I think. But then the only thing is that you come back. I was talking to Edith the other day. I came back and turned the phone on the Sunday night when I got back, and it's just you like anything, you get so many messages and emails and everything come through, but actually most of it is not. Well, none of it's urgent. A lot of it's kind of emails, especially, you can kind of clear a lot of it out. It's kind of standard emails or spam or whatever, and there's a few things you deal with, but then you just kind of get back on board. So
did you feel pressure? Did you, when you put your phone back on, did you feel a load of pressure, there's going to be stuff I need to deal with here? Not pressure, but I did actually do a post, just a general one, just to say, if you've messaged me or sent me stuff over the last week,
I haven't seen it. I've just turned my phone on. There's loads of stuff on there, but I'm not going to put myself under loads of pressure to get back to everyone tonight. It will be over the next couple of days. I'll kind of get round to contacting people, because I think that was the thing. I had 7 days of real de-stressing, and then, turn the phone back on and you could instantly just fall straight back into that, Christ, I've got all these messages to respond to. But I just kind of quite openly said, I'm not going to get through everyone today. I'll just kind of get to people when I can,
Yeah.
And someone actually at the gym said to me the other day, I can't remember who it was, said that they had a boss or something who went away on holiday, came back, turned their emails back on and just deleted them all.
Yeah.
If something's important, someone will send it again.
Yeah, totally. Do you know what? It's funny because we didn't say we were going to talk about this before we pressed record, did we? But you put that post up, didn't you, saying you'd been away? No, your hot tub thing about
mindfulness
and switching off. And I was watching this with, is it Rangan Chatterjee, the Dr. Chatterjee?
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about this on something about mini holidays. So he said, so what you've just done, you go away on holiday, you get away from everything and it's nice and all of that sort of stuff. I mean, you might have your phone with you or not, doesn't matter. But then you come back, everything's still there, nothing's changed, but you've been away. And he was saying, so you put in your post, you go and sit in the hot tub and it's kind of mindfulness. That's like a mini holiday, isn't it?
Mm.
So that's why I commented on it and said, I go walking with the dog. Yeah. And I'm out for 2 or 3 hours and it's a mini holiday. I'm away from home. I've got no washing to do, no cleaning, no cooking, no nothing. It's just me and him, or me, him and Sean out walking, and it's a mini holiday. And he talks about this, and you could do that from your phone. Just go out for a walk for an hour or something like that. My old coach, Paul Moore, every Wednesday, I don't know if he still does it now, but he used to, he had like a bat phone, like an old phone, which only took calls and texts. And he bought that and he had a SIM card for it, separate number. And his wife had the number, his kids had the number, his mum and someone else. Basically, if there's any emergencies, they'll be able to get in touch with him. And every Wednesday he left his smartphone at home and just took that out with him. And had a day doing stuff or stuff with the family or whatever, where there was just no notifications. And he said it was great. It's like a whole 1 day a week.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
I think
the toilet break counts as a mini holiday.
Probably for you, Paul. You're so busy all the time. 5 minutes in the toilet.
I was going to say it depends. It depends what you've been eating and how constipated you are, doesn't it? Because you could have half an hour in there, couldn't you?
Always whole foods. Foods. Perfectly measured to my calorie target.
Oh, so you're just in and out, yeah.
So, guys, what have you been up to? We haven't sat down and spoke for 2 weeks because last person we spoke to was last episode was Pom, wasn't it? I think it was Pom, wasn't it?
Yes.
Last episode.
I think it was, yes.
So what have you guys been up to over the last couple of weeks? I've seen, Pete, you've been consistently training and putting some good stuff out, and with your back lever and your body weight stuff, and you put some nice posts together. So how's things been for you recently?
Well, the funny thing is, the reason why that is because I haven't been lifting heavy, because I've always had not a problem, but my left shoulder, if I do a lot of volume on it, it gets sticky. And it was fine. It was fine. And then it didn't get injured or anything. It was just you get that feeling before an injury. Long before an injury, but you're like, right, but I'll just push through it. And that's what people do. And then eventually they get injured. I had that. So there's that saying, isn't there? Listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. So I was like, right, it's niggling a bit. And then doing pull-ups, I started to feel it in elbow tendons and stuff. So then I was like, so I said that to Paul and he was like, right, let's just go so I went back from pressing 32 kilos, pistol squatting 34 kilos, all the way back to pressing 20 kilos, pistol squatting the 12, and just getting it all back to normal. So we're basically cycling back up towards the 32. I think he hasn't told me this, but this is the way it looks. So we're just cycling back up towards that while I'm working on movement. So I'm doing some auxiliary exercises. So Paul Bassett over here, this guy here, he gave me
he's underneath me.
He's there for you, but he's there for me, you see. Okay. But you said to do the that thing line on the floor, the internal external rotation. There's a knees over toes guy thing that I've been doing as well, just with a 5 kilo plate. So there's no weight or anything, like not much weight. I've been doing that, and just some stuff to kind of get my left shoulder to move a bit better, and it is as well. So yeah, so that's been happening. So what I've been doing so this is the thing. This is the message from that is, even if you can't do the thing that you want to do, there's always something you can do. So I've been doing after this has coincided pretty much with after the David Keown workshop that we did, which got me to thinking about doing like yoga moves and poses and stuff like that are specific to what you're doing for training. So he was doing it specific to kettlebell sport, and that's great. But you can do it specific to anything, right? So I've decided to try and start putting something together like specific to the opposite of a desk posture. So I'm toying with that. So I've been just chucking some stuff up on social media about that and doing it myself. But then also there's one of the poses, like the locust pose that you do, where you're lying down, face down, and you don't really lift your head and legs up. You push them out away from each other, and then your body naturally lifts off the floor anyway.
So almost like a boat or a kind of a banana kind of shape.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can link your hands and push them back, so it engages your shoulders as well. And that's basically the same as a back lever. So yeah, so if you don't know what a back lever is, it's basically hanging up off a bar, face down, straight, like parallel to the floor, which is really hard, it turns out. But that was another what the hell effect of training and strength and mobility and all of that is I could do that like quite quickly. I didn't really have to train for it. It just happened. So yeah, in answer to your question, I've been doing lots and lots of playing around and curiosity stuff, and like had a formal program, but instead of 5 days a week, I've been doing 3 days, and it's been very light. So I'm doing it in like 45 minutes, an hour. And then I get time during the day to play around with yoga and stuff like that. And I've been doing that out on dog walks and all that. And I lifted a relatively big stone as well, which was quite.
All that as well,
which was lush. I've got I've got like scratched forearms from it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's why some people use like sleeves, don't they? Almost, or just something just to do that. No, I mean that was I listened to the podcast we did with Kelly Manzoni recently when I got back from holiday, and that was, I do listen back to the podcast when they come out at some stage over that next week. But that was sometimes I listen to them and I think, this is really good, really,
not to blow your own trumpet.
No, not necessarily.
I said some pretty amazing things.
no, not necessarily what I'm saying, but you listen to the podcast, and because when you're recording it, you're kind of in it,
Yeah.
But when you actually I always just listen when I'm driving, so rather than I wouldn't have the radio on because I don't want the news coming on and all that sort of stuff. So I just always have podcasts on in the car when I drive. But so I was listening to it as a listener, and as we'd recorded it, probably 3 weeks prior to me listening to it, I kind of forgot a lot of the conversation. And just as a kind of, as an outsider almost, I just thought this is really interesting. There's some really great stuff here. What you just said about just playing and having fun was kind of what Kelly was talking about, wasn't it? That kind of lifestyle approach to fitness, and just throughout the day doing a little bit here and a little bit there and picking this up and doing this. And so you don't categorize a certain time of your day, and for exercise, it just becomes part of lifestyle. So no, it's
do you know what you've just said there is, so Kelly and David have been a big influence on me recently. So Kelly's thing there was, like you say, just because when she was talking about that, I was like, so do you have a formal program? And she does. She said, no, I train formally. I've got a formal program that I follow, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like hours and hours. It's very quick. And then all of the other stuff is just play around with everything else. And I was like, do you know what? I've got loads of time during the day to be able to do that. Because when I'm out and about, you can pick stuff. So like, yoga poses and stuff like that, you can practice them on the grass when it's dry. Well, you can practice them when it's wet as well, but I'm not into that. But, you can do that and then picking up stones. I've found like there's a load of them on one of the walks that I do very regularly. And Some of them are quite heavy. The one that I picked up, I don't know how heavy it was. I don't think it was that heavy, but then it's just technique with lighter weights, isn't it? And then I tried to pick it up again on Sunday because I was walking past it again and I couldn't. So I was like, oh, so it must be quite heavy. Either that or I'm particularly weak today. So no, it was so I'm just, it's kind of a message to try and get across as well, is like, you know, you can find opportunity, like we're talking about, you can find opportunities throughout the day to do stuff. You know, like having a kettlebell lying next to the front door and every time you go out, press it or something like that, like all that sort of stuff. It's just
it
fun.
goes back to, we've got him on in a few weeks again. I think Paul set it up, but Brad Kearns, when Brad talks about his micro workouts, doesn't he? Maybe having a track bar just by the laundry room. So every time you go out and do laundry, you just do, you know, 5 reps of track bar deadlifts just every time you walk past it. But it's not set to a weight that you need to warm up or psych up for. It's just, you know, probably 50% of your 1 rep max. You can just walk up to it, 5 reps, put it back down, go about your day. And but you do that sort of half a dozen times over the course of the day. It's probably, you know, 50 sets a week or something. And, you know, it all adds up. Paul, how have you been, mate? You been up to much?
Yeah, just working on a lot of business things. So I've had much less time. So I've been squeezing things in, and invariably, like you say, it does mean that I have to do more of those incidental kind of mobility snacks, because usually what I'll do is I'll do some mobility before I train, mobility after, just, you know, pretty focused things. So like Peter, for the last probably 7 months, I've been doing a lot of internal, external rotation of my shoulders in a variety of different positions. Just because, well, I'm out of pain now. I mean, when I had the injury, I was doing military press and I pushed through something and something went tweak in one of my like tendons in the front delt or whatever. I don't know what it was. I was kind of almost too annoyed to understand what it was. And I just literally couldn't press 4 kilos overhead. And I struggled to hold my arms out to the side, just on one shoulder. And then I just started doing some exercises, but then as soon as the pain went, I just kept doing it. I still do it now. I explore a few different positions. I don't just do the same exercise. So I was just lying on my back doing some internal, external rotation, but I decided to turn it into a bit of a strength move. So I started to build the strength up in there, and so that's been going well. I don't tend to use any more than like 12.5 kilos, but I've tried it with 24 kilos, and that went pretty 25 kilos, sorry, and that was okay. It wasn't easy, but I could do it. And I kind of, sometimes you can take some of these rehab exercises and treat them like a strength exercise. And it makes it a bit more fun because you don't just think, oh, I'm doing rehab, you know, you can actually add a little bit of performance into it. But anyway, just because my time's been just so limited, like literally, I barely had time to think of just doing so many different kind of, I got a new initiative that I'm pushing. A lot of focus, changing over some systems in my company, in my business, and that's just very time consuming. And so like my training, I literally, when I look at my plan, I go, right, how the hell am I going to get this done? Because I know that if I condense it, as the weights get heavier, I'm going to have less recovery and I'm probably going to injure myself. So I've had to split some workouts in 2. I've had to just do some mobility and incidental times throughout the day. And that's just kept me moving forwards. And I think it's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you just don't do anything. I mean, the amount of people I speak to who will put up these reasons why they can't do something, there's always a way. I mean, I even tell some clients, I say, look, if all you can do is get to my class for like, you can't do an hour, but you could do like 35 minutes. You're going to do 35 minutes more than you would have done. And I don't care if you leave before the last 15 minutes of conditioning. You've done some strength work, you've done some mobility, and you've shown up, you know. It doesn't need to be all or nothing. But yeah, I mean, I haven't felt like I've got high performance, but I felt all right. I kept moving forwards. It's not, you know, it's one of those. What did I read? I read an article by Precision Nutrition where they talk about, and I use it quite frequently when I'm talking to people, is this concept where all you do is get good at pressing pause. And we did an episode back maybe a year and a bit ago about pressing pause. But one of the things that they use as an analogy was, rather than thinking about pause, think about a volume a volume dial on a stereo, where sometimes when you have a period of kind of normality and consistency, you can dial it up 10. You could do a transformation program, or you could do those more intense workouts, or you could train 5 days a week, or you could, push yourself really hard and have a challenge. And then the times when you're really busy at work, or you've got holidays or whatever, you don't just turn the dial off, you just turn it down. And if you were listening to music, sometimes there's party time, and sometimes it's just relaxing on a Sunday, listening to something more calming, but you're never turning that dial to 0.
Do you ever turn it to 11?
Waiting for that.
Yeah. No, I just make 10, 11. So,
louder.
No, but it's one louder. Yeah.
No, but this is 11. What about you, James? Anyway, James has got 3 new letters after his name, by the way. James,
So,
James St. Pierre SFB.
Yeah. So people.
What does that mean then?
Well, people who've been listening since the start. So I've been talking about
journey.
We've been referencing this for a long time. These will certainly seriously, because I remember when I was on holiday last summer practicing these, pistol squats and one arm press ups. So it's a year to 18 months where I've been working towards getting this one arm press up. Yes, SFB is Strong First Bodyweight certification, which we hosted at Unique Results, which Pete was at back in September last year, I think.
Yep.
And you had to do 3 things. You had to do 5 pull-ups, a pistol squat, and a one arm, one leg press up. And I did the pull-ups and the pistol squat on the weekend, and then got sort of like 6 months afterwards to work towards getting the one arm, one leg press up. And I said to someone today, I said, some people, and I know that they spoke about this, Claire and Fabio and other people have said about some people, you can just say to them, oh, this is what a pistol squat is. You could show them one, and then they just do it, with first time, no training required.
Kids, I've done that with a few. I mean, I don't train kids, but some people bring their kids along to sessions, and I'll go, and the kids will be like, oh, I can do this and I can do this, and they'll go, oh, but I'm 100 years old. Can you do this? And I'll do a pistol squat and do it no problem. Most of them haven't got the strength to hold the position, but they'll get straight down into it.
Yeah, they've got the mobility to get down. Yeah, and so and I mean, the pistol squat took me a long time to get as well. But this one arm, one leg press up has just sort of eluded me for a long time. And I don't know if it's actually tied in, because when I was away on holiday, I was speaking to the guys before. If you're watching, I'm holding up a book called The Spiritual Journey of Joseph L. Greenstein, The Mighty Atom. But this was a book that was recommended by Dave Whitley, who's been on the podcast twice. And it was given to me very kindly by Graham Harris, who's a client of mine and a listener of the show, and went on to do some work with Dave Whitley. And he gave me this for Christmas. And I read this book, and it's so much about the power of the mind to be able to do something, and the mind controls the body. So I've read 2 books in the last 3 weeks, if you like. One was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which I spoke about, I think, on the last podcast we did. And then was this Mighty Atom, and it's both quite interesting actually, because they're both really Jewish kind of, they're both Jewish people, but they're very much, this was based in 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. And obviously, the Man's Search for Meaning is in Auschwitz in Second World War. So they're kind of a similar period, but the mind stuff around it, whereby you almost command, and this I think is why Dave Whitley, one of the reasons why he really likes it, is your mind commands the body to do something, and I just suddenly started reading the book and thought there was definitely a mental shift that, come on, like, you can do, you can do this, and
totally. This is one of the things. This is one of the things someone said to me as well. But when I was, because you were sending us videos, weren't you, and going, I'm nearly there, and I was looking at it, thinking, you've definitely got the strength to do it. You just can't. It's just not happening. But there's no way. You can push yourself up on one arm. You have got the strength to do it. You've just got to link it all together.
Yeah.
Because it's It's a very technical move, isn't it? And you've only got 2 points of contact on the ground. If you had to do a one-arm push-up, you could do it no problem. As soon as you take one leg off, it makes a lot of difference. But
but this was kind of But what was so what I was doing was last week as well, just the power of focus, because last week when I was away, I knew, right, okay, you've got a week now to do this, and you're going to get back, and within the couple of days of returning, you've got to do it. So every morning I went for a nice long walk for somewhere between, I say, look, not a long walk for you, Pete, but somewhere between 45 minutes and... Was
this, did you go out of the enclosure of your all-inclusive?
I did.
Yeah, you want to watch that? We were just talking about this before. It's the series Benidorm when they're in an all-inclusive place. It's like you're not allowed out of them walls because things cost money.
Yeah. Well,
so I hope you left your money behind and walked out.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting actually, because there's so much. I mean, I'm going to do write a piece about this or something. We touched on it earlier. The all-inclusive mindset, and I think it's quite a nice. It's got quite a nice thing to it. But so I never eat breakfast in this country. I always fast until lunchtime.
Yeah.
And so today I ate at sort of 1 o'clock. So we went away and we got this all-inclusive. So you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between, and drinks all throughout the day, and whatever you want at any time. And I thought, well, I'm here for a week. And my body's used to not eating breakfast. Do I just sort of almost, because I pay for it, you know what I mean? Like you say, go and have breakfast every day. Or not. And
he's got his pockets full of cheese and salami and
croissant, pain au chocolat. Yeah. No, so I just thought.
No. You see, that's a rookie mistake. We were talking about this as well. You've got to be careful of your fillers, haven't you? Your breads, your pastas, all of that. No.
Well, this was So this is the other thing. So literally every morning when I was there with 9 other people, so it was 10 of us, 6 adults and 4 kids. Every morning when they went down for breakfast, or before they went down for breakfast, I took myself out and either did a little bit in the gym that they had there. It was quite limited, but a few things just to warm my upper body up. Then went out for a walk. And then as I was walking, I just walked out for, 20, 25, 30 minutes and turned around and came back. But it's right along the sort of seafront. And it was early in the morning before, just as the sun was coming up, before there's too many people around. And every time I came to a slight gradient or there was a slight kind of pedestrian ramp or something, I'll just go down and just do one press up on each arm, single arm press up with both feet on the floor, one each side. If I walk past a low wall or a bench, I might just do a few pistol squats, down to the bench, and just did that like every single morning for 6 mornings, and it was brilliant, and then I came back and I definitely made progress in that week, just doing that kind of grease the groove on the walk. And then came back and managed to get it. So I mean, it wasn't easy. Again, it wasn't easy. It wasn't perfect, but got it. So I was chuffed to bits really, and it's a long time coming. But now the goal is to tighten it up and to get it looking even better.
Yeah.
So you're not stopping training.
Like one of yours, Pete.
So since you've got kind of multiple goals now, haven't you? So you're kind of ticking off a list. In terms of your programming, is it still going to be within your programming as part of it, or are you just going to move it to a secondary exercise that you'll kind of do grease the groove on?
Well, I messaged Paul last night and told him I passed that, and I kind of said, right, well, that's Paul McElroy for listeners. I messaged him and said, right, that's sort of mission 1 accomplished. I've got that. Now we need to kind of divert our focus or focus our focus, if you like, on this SFG2, the Strong First Kettlebell Level 2 certification, which is in 5 weeks' time. So I'm going to still, practice these, but I'm going to use it probably like more what Pete's talking about outside of a structured program. I would imagine, 2, 3, 4 times a week, just do a few of them. I mean, I always remember, Pete, you used to go like once a week on a Sunday.
Once a week, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know? Right. So I think a video popped up on my Facebook thing. I'm not that big on. I don't know. I quite like Instagram. I've gone right off Facebook, I think, which most people have. But anyway, what I do like about it is it reminds you what happened 2 or 3 years ago, and that I quite like that part of it. So I will still put stuff up on it and go, I don't care if anyone comments or not, because this will remind me in a few years' time that I did this. So the first time I ever did a one-arm, one-legged push-up was about 3 years ago, like April 3 years ago. And I've still never been able, in that 3 years, I've never been able to do one on the other side. So I can do it with my right arm, left leg. I can't do it with my left arm, right leg. And that's because of this shoulder thing. So one of my goals is to just get the other side. But that's not, I haven't told Paul about that. That's not a formal goal, because I've got the strength to do it. I just need to be able to get my shoulder into the right position. But what I did with it, once I got it, I just did it. I mean, in the very beginning, I did it like a couple of times a week. Just as if I was out and about and I was feeling all right, I'd just do one. And then after a while, I was just doing one a week. And then now it's just something I can do. So, and that's a good lesson for anybody listening as well. If you do achieve something, no matter what it is, so this back lever thing and all of that sort of stuff is just something I'm going to do like once a week. If I'm feeling all right, I'll just have a quick go. And like, I might be able to do it, I might not. And if I can, I can. If I can't, I can be like, right, what do I need to do to be able to do that next week? So it'll never actually go away. So it's like we're talking about like walking. You go out walking every day. The chances are you're going to be able to walk tomorrow and the next day, and then, you know, if
So go on, finish.
No, I was going to say, whereas if you sit down and don't walk ever, you'll probably lose the ability, right? Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just thinking, it's easy. In a way, these things make more sense when we're talking about movements and strength and athletic kind of gains. But what happens if you have an individual? How can we apply these principles to, say, someone's weight loss journey? Well, a lot of our clients are probably coming to us because they are unhappy with their current body composition. And then when we're talking about the skill acquisition of, say, a one leg, one arm press up, or one leg squats, or, you know, whatever it is, whatever the goal is, we can start applying those principles that we've been talking about. But what about something a little bit less programmable as someone's body composition or their diet or their long-term health? I mean, you came back, James, saying you were 1 kilo lighter after your holidays, despite having access to as much food as you wanted. Yeah.
Well, I think the first thing that popped into my mind when you asked the question there was when we had Josh Hillis on, and he's sort of, I wouldn't say he's totally changed his approach, but he's refined his approach and his language now around eating and the use of specifically, you know, fat loss or body composition to talk now about eating skills, hasn't he? He talks about like eating skills and food skills and actually practicing eating skills, to view practicing eating skills just like you would if you were practicing, you know, golf or any of the kind of things we've already spoke about today. So I think that's part of what I did. Was when I went, I already knew. I first of all had a goal, because I went, and in my mind I thought, I want to come back from this holiday either the same weight or lighter, because I knew I had to do this for various reasons, but the most immediate and powerful one was because I knew within 2 days of coming back, I had to do this one arm, one leg press up. And if I was half a stone heavier, that was going to not make it any easier, and it would make it probably exponentially harder. So I had that kind of thing in my mind anyway. And then the next thing was already having the habit of not eating the breakfast every day. And then we've joked about it, the filler foods. But what I did was and this is the thing, I spoke to a few people about this week. Go into one of these all-inclusive places. It is so easy. It is so easy to overindulge and to, you know, just, you know, eat from, you know, 7 a.m. to midnight and drink alcohol all day. But at the same time, it's really easy to eat really, really healthily if you want to, if you make the decision. Because literally, I just almost stuck to what I would normally eat. I just went up for lunch and dinner, and they're cooking grilled fish, they're cooking chicken, they're cooking lamb, they're cooking, you know, and I pretty much stuck to more of a carnivore-ish approach for the week, and prioritize. And the main thing really is prioritizing protein is what I think. And having, there were so many different fish and meat and eggs and cheese and all this sort of stuff that I could eat. But at the end of each meal, I had a little bowl with 2 scoops of ice cream in it every day, and still came back a kilo lighter. So it's not impossible, but I think you have to start.
And that was with training much less than you normally do as well.
Oh, really? I would say there wasn't really any training. I mean, there was obviously for some people, but compared to what I normally do, I didn't do any spinning classes. I literally walked intentionally for say an hour a day and did a few one-arm press-ups and a few. I never got out of breath or sweaty. Do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to get back to what Paul was talking about here. And there's a thing in that is if your lifestyle isn't an all-inclusive lifestyle, isn't it? I don't mean that as in it's not your type of thing, as in you go to an all-inclusive place, but your lifestyle doesn't go with having as much as you like around all the time.
Yeah.
So your lifestyle when you walked into that place it doesn't change. So to go with like weight loss, fat loss, body composition, that sort of stuff is your lifestyle. If you've got to a place where you're a few stone overweight, your lifestyle will have got you there, right? I think.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this through as I go.
Yeah, so you're not going to go on holiday and change your lifestyle on holiday.
No, exactly. So, but taking the holiday aside, the actual like what you said about Josh, and I thought of Josh straight away of skills, the skill of eating, because people don't think about that. There'll be skill in learning to do something for work, or learning to do something with spreadsheets, say if you're in a technology industry or whatever, or learning a new skill in push-ups and press-ups and pull-ups and all of that sort of stuff. But you can do it with eating as well. And the skill is to focus on one individual thing. Because people will go, right, I need to overhaul my diet. I'm eating too much, I'm drinking too much, and they'll try and do the whole lot. And I want to get fit, and I'm working too hard. And we've spoken about this before, and try and do everything at once. Whereas you said something as simple as putting your fork, like eating slower and putting your fork down in between each bite and stuff like that is like, because the slower you eat, the fuller you feel over a period of time. Because I don't know if this is pseudoscience or not, but if you eat quickly, your body's got a certain amount of time before it knows it's full, right? Is that true? So you eat quickly, you can eat more.
But it's always there's always the number 20 minutes bandied around, isn't there?
Yeah.
Your body won't start sending you signals. So if you just keep shoveling food in, you won't get that hunger signal. Whereas if you eat more intentionally and slower, you become more attuned, don't you, to your body?
And using like smaller plates and stuff like that as well. Not having your Alan Partridge 12-inch plate to get your breakfast on. You want your 9-inch plate. Yeah, exactly. So there's those skills involved, and then that you're going to start to incorporate those into your lifestyle, and then actually it becomes it goes with everybody we've spoken to. It goes with values and all that. So then your values when you go to an all-inclusive place are, I'm not going to stuff my face rotten and drink as much as I can and get as much as I can for my money, because it's not how you live. So, and some people will do that because it is how they live, and that's fine if that's what they want. So it's learning those skills, but you can't just do that and go through. You can't just say, right, I want to lose 2 stone, so I'm just gonna go and do that. It's like, well, how are you going to do it? What's the strategy, and how are you going to focus? And how are you going to keep that your focus over that time?
I think one thing it goes back to as well, what Paul actually said right near the start was this these kind of limiting beliefs and excuses, but it really inbuilt in people, and these kind of ways of thinking, because I lost track of the number of times that I heard someone say, just in earshot, oh, go on, you're on holiday, treat yourself, go on, you're on holiday. And I said this to one of my clients the other day. I said, but these people, most people live like them on holiday every day of the week anyway, so
Yeah.
Then when they go on holiday, it's, oh, go on, you're on holiday, have a treat. They're almost going overboard, you know?
I don't understand this thing with treats. I mean, I just don't
No.
understand. It's not that I whip myself walking down the street and some kind of self-flagellation, but it's
shame. Yeah.
But this idea that somehow we need constant rewards, you know, we're not a dog. It's not like we give them a biscuit every time we sit down.
Yeah.
I get that we want pleasure because, you know, we seek pleasure as much as we seek anything, you know, because we like the taste of good food. We have a massage because it feels great, you know. We want to see great films because they make us feel happy or whatever it is, you know. So there's reasons why we seek these things, and that, you know, the deep-seated human kind of need for pleasure and things like that. But this idea of treating is it somehow that every time I work hard, there needs to be some kind of consequence of like reward. It's like, I don't know. I don't understand that. It's like I don't go out for a run and expect someone to put a medal on my neck.
Yeah, but the reward can be anything. It doesn't have to be food.
I think that, I think that's the problem, isn't it? Where food becomes the reward for, but it's not even. It could be the, you know, this is. Well,
people give food all the time, don't they? They say giving kids food for doing well.
I've had. This was when I first became a PT, and I went to see this lady. And she was really depressed. She said she'd missed parties and stuff like that because she didn't feel good in what she was wearing and all of this. And she basically said, I'm a foodie. I really like food, as in good food, right? You know, so when people... Well, that was the problem. When she said I'm a foodie, what she meant was she just liked to eat a lot of food. She just liked to eat. And she thought So this was before I was thinking about all of this stuff, like psychologically and mindfully and all of that. She thought she was just a person who enjoyed eating nice food, but it wasn't. She just enjoyed eating food. And I think people get people say, oh, I like going out to restaurants and that because I like good food. And it's like, that's great, but you don't have to eat loads of it. If it tastes nice, it tastes really nice. You only need a small amount in that case.
I think we're getting into now, aren't we? We're almost getting into the way people create their identity and their, you know, and this is one of the things that I had a conversation with someone else earlier in the week where it was someone saying, well, I'm getting in for my personal training session once a week, but I really need to be doing more, but I'm so busy at work and, you know, it's really difficult. And I said, well, look, why don't we come in for a coffee? We'll have a chat. And she goes, oh, I know, because there's this spinning class that's moving to 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. And this phrase stuck with me, but with the best will in the world, I'm not making that. And I thought, well,
sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that.
But this is the language that people, it's not this lady in particular. It's every, you know, you hear it every day, but with the best will in the world, I'm not making that. I thought, well, with the best will in the world, you will make that. You know what I mean?
That's a throwaway comment, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's something that people say.
And then the next thing was because, you know, I'm not a morning person, you know.
Oh God, I get that all the time. I'm like, but this is why you're not seeing results, is because you are setting yourself up to fail.
Because
They're telling me you've got like literally half an hour in the entire week where you could be healthy, and because that's not happening, the whole thing collapses. That is just a self-limiting belief, and we need to get beyond that. And that is a tough thing, you know, because, you know.
Hang on, you right before you go ahead. I'm thinking I've just got Dave Whitley going around in my head now. That's a self-limiting belief, and you need to get over that. But that's a tough thing.
Well,
you know what I mean.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained rather than I suppose maybe tough is the wrong word. It's an ingrained thought pattern.
If someone's in their 50s and they've been telling themselves that for 35 years, that is ingrained. Yeah.
So, but on one hand, you know, from sitting opposite someone in a consultation, like a fitness consultation, strategy session, whatever you want to call it, there is two things. Selling fitness is tough because selling fitness, people don't want to spend money on something that they could potentially get for free or get really cheap. Because as trainers, we're out-competed by Pure Gym, by all the other big corporations that have a ton of money. They can sell it cheaper. They can give you 24-hour access. and they can sell you the big adverts and stuff like that. When you sit in front of someone, on one hand, you have to get to the nub of why they're there.
Yeah.
But you also have to sell the optimism, which is the fact that they can get there. And it's really tough because one side, you want to sit down at that consultation and say, look, actually, it's bloody tough because you're going to have to change things and it's not going to be comfortable. And there's going to be times when that's just reality. The reality is that it's not something you always want to do. But on the other hand, in order to get that person on board, you have to also then give them the hope. You have to give them the certainty. Because if you just give them the kind of tough love, if you just say this means you're going to have to change your habits, you're going to have to think differently about yourself, you're going to have to start owning up to where you're denying, where you're putting in front of yourself obstacles unnecessarily, so etc. Then you're just the people who's going to go away going, you know what, I've got too many other things in my life. This guy's going to make my life much more difficult. So you have to, on one hand, say, yeah, we are going to get 10-pound weight loss in the next 6 weeks. We are going to do this. I'm going to help you eat well, and I'm going to make it easy to eat well. I'm going to make it easy to exercise. I'm going to make it easy to schedule these things in. You know, you have that dichotomy of the two sides of the language. Reality change, and then the dream.
What you've just said there as well really ties in. I mean, we started this podcast without a clear direction, but I don't know how it sounded to the listeners, but I've enjoyed having a chat anyway.
As far as I'm concerned, we're still doing the intro.
yeah. But what you just said there really ties into this other, this man's search for meaning, Viktor Frankl, because and it really made me think about my life. And I read it, I think I'd said 18 years ago, I think I'd read it, and it kind of changed my life then, and I wanted to reread it, and I got a whole load of stuff back from it again this time. And it was there has to be a meaning to your suffering, and suffering's a strong word, I know, and in the context of that, he was in a concentration camp and people were being killed around him, but in general he talks about life, and there has to be life inherently has no meaning. You decide on the meaning yourself and you find a meaning, but there has to be a meaning for suffering, and a reason for it, and something on the other side of it, and I think that, as a I don't know, as a society, as a people, where we are now, life is very, very easy and very, very comfortable for most people all of the time. I don't know, some people are very, are poor, and people have money problems. But even people who are struggling in many ways are still, in many ways, better off than people have ever been in the history of the planet in terms of, shelter and, food and stuff like that. And I just think that people are very uncomfortable making themselves at all uncomfortable, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's no real, and this is where you get to the real deep bit of, there's no real impulse to change until the shit hits the fan, and until, you get something terrible. We spoke about this before,
I think what you're saying there is, so in that book particular, but like people talk about suffering. So you don't want people to suffer, and people don't need to suffer.
No.
But people tend to confuse that with struggle. Now, there's nothing wrong with struggle. Everybody should have to struggle at some point, because that's being uncomfortable, right? You don't want people to suffer, but you kind of do want people to struggle, because like you struggle through things and you get to the other side, and there's, it's always better on the other side, isn't it? There was something else he said there, but I've forgotten what it was.
There was a quote that you just said, which actually I did see today, which was, and I saw this today on Daily Stoic, and it was, and this pretty much says it better than the three of us would. And it's a quote from Viktor Frankl. It says, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him."
Yes. So I've just remembered what I was going to say as well. And you said when the shit hits the fan, the pain of remaining the same has to outweigh the pain of change. So people want this thing, but they're like, well, actually, I'm quite comfortable where I am. So they'll go, I'm going to go to get this thing. I'm going to go to lose weight or whatever. And then they go, actually, that's quite hard. I'm going to go back to where I was because I'm more comfortable. And they'll keep doing that over a period of years, 10 years, 15 years. And then in 15 years down the line, it might be like, do you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm not happy where I am. And you've got 15 years down the line. So again, it's always like, what does it look like in 20 years? Whereas if you had done something about it that first time 15 years ago, you had a plan and you didn't fall at the first hurdle or second hurdle or whatever, and you had a plan, you had a team around you, say, or a coach or whatever to help you through that, who knows what they're doing, then 15 years would have looked completely different.
So I think that's the thing. That's that tensionless state that many people strive for, of that just comfort, that life of got no problems, got nothing straight, life's easy,
that never happens though, because you will create problems. If you get rid of everything, you hear people who are kept awake at night because, like, I don't know, they've got to go shopping the next day or something like that. They've got to, something daft. There'll be some tiny problem and it's kept them awake all night because they've got now else. They haven't got a care in the world.
Well, you become more hyper vigilant as well. It's like it's like an immune system that becomes very, very attuned to those stimulus. When you're used to this kind of thinking about situations, about struggle, about change, then you become very hyper aware of it. You become almost sensitive to it and adverse to it. I think as we try and legislate in society to less and less discomfort. I mean, COVID was a great example. It's like, there's some nations that went for total zero COVID, which whether or not that's possible, I don't know. But there's this idea that our sense of risk as a society is radically changed. And I think the health industry is a cute example of where people are put in uncomfortable situations, and many people don't see it through. And I don't know how we get around that. All we can do as trainers and is find clients who are ready to change and who are willing to be uncomfortable.
That's
guide them.
That's massive what you've just said there, because it's like, you want to help everybody, but you can't, because if someone doesn't want to be helped, there's not a lot you can do about it.
I just lost a client who I've been chasing constantly. They signed up, they've been to 2 classes, they've been with us 2 months. They had a timeline to lose weight by May. I've spent more time than I've spent on lots of other people just trying to get them to turn up, and then they've just cancelled their membership. And I can't do anything further. They enjoyed it when they were training, so I don't think it's because they didn't enjoy it. I think it's just it was too difficult to organize.
Right. Okay.
No, that's an interesting one. I've got something similar. I had a guy who joined. It was funny. He joined and then he had to have a minor operation, like within the first 3 weeks. So I said, well, pay for 3 weeks, go and have your operation, and then let us know how it goes. So he had his minor operation. Then he's like, right, I can come back beginning of April. And I've been texting him to see how he was and that over time. And he stopped answering my texts. And it's just like, all of a sudden it's like...
I took on I sat down with 2 people and they literally told me, like, we need to do... They came in for the Amazing 12. And look, in many ways, they were kind of great candidates in terms of what the program could do for them. And they were looking for a fundamental shift in lots of different areas of their life. And they wanted the physical challenge. They wanted the routine. They wanted the instruction, the accountability. And then, I told them the price. So
they're like, oh, not for that.
luckily you'd locked the front door when they came in.
But and then they didn't sign up. So I wonder if it was, the pain couldn't have been that great, because usually people will find the money to do things if they want to do them. You find the money to feed your children, find the money to educate them, find the money to buy a car. You know, it's not.
Well, no, there's been a bit of a controversy on some post that was flying around, wasn't it? About if
it was equating. It was yeah. I think it's difficult. It's difficult circumstances at the moment. Difficult.
Yeah, but if people, the post was kind of like, if you want to spend your money on going drinking and eating and all of that, and you're saying you want to lose weight, then it's your fault if you don't value getting fit and spending money. You know, which is would be easy for someone like us to say, because we do value that, and some of the people are trained think that as well. And they're like, well, why do people do this? Why do people do that? All they need to do is not go to the pub like every night of the week, just go 3 nights a week instead, and you'll save yourself 200 quid a month and all that. And it's like, yeah, but if that's what they do, if that's what they enjoy, there's not a lot you can do about it. And everybody's got their own option, and not everyone has to be healthy.
I think that's the thing. It's that people have to, and there's this, this whole thing around, obviously, shame and shaming and things like that. And I think we just, like you said, Pete, I think you hit the nail on the head a little while ago. You just said, you can't help everyone. And really, I'm not worried about how most people live their lives. We live in a society. I want people to be happy. I want people to be free to do whatever they want. But if people do want help and they're ready to change, then we're here for them, And hopefully the people listening to the podcast, they're obviously, you're that way inclined. If you're listening to this podcast, you've got an interest, at least a passing interest in health and fitness and personal development and looking after yourself, which is fantastic. And that's all you can do. And all you can do is try and be a positive example to the people around you and live your life the way that you want to live your life, and let everyone else do the same. And on that bombshell,
that's James doing Paul's last final thought there.
I know. I was just saying, if you live in Bath, you should be training with Peter. If you're not, you're crazy. If you live in Chelmsford, and if you're not training with James, then you're missing a trick. And if you're in London, well, you're probably going to be stuck somewhere on a tube and you won't be able to get to them. But if you're in Deer Putney, there's no excuse. So,
Cool. Pete, any final? I know we've just basically been giving our final thoughts for the last hour, but anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, there was something I was thinking about actually, which is
it going to lead us down another rabbit hole? No,
it's just a stupid comment, but I was thinking for your one-legged push-up, right? What you could have done was just submitted a video of a push-up and said, I'm doing a one-legged push-up on the left and on the right, both at the same time. They'd be like, wow, that's amazing.
I did actually think, because I never obviously would have done it, but it made me laugh. I was doing them on these little slopes in Tenerife, and I thought, do it on the slope and then just correct the angle of the video. But then the sea and the horizon would be an angle like this.
Or you could have done it on a box, put your leg on a box or something and then just superimpose the box out.
Very mate.
Either that or set up some elaborate thing from the ceiling.
System.
Yeah. And with hold your leg up or something, yeah. Anyway, you would never do that, would you?
No.
In fact, no. It's not that you would never do that. You wouldn't know how to do it, would you?
Well, I would never do it anyway, but I wouldn't know how to do it. And Paul, for yourself, any final thoughts?
Take care of yourself and each other.
Oh, Jerry Springer, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all of your comments and things that you send to us, for the follows and everything on social media. Please do make sure that you find us on Instagram, you find us on Facebook. If you do want to go in the Facebook group, just go on Facebook under groups and search Unique Results. If you're listening on a platform that allows you to leave a review, please leave a review and share with people that may find this worthwhile, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Next week, I think we are back. Is it Brad Kearns?
No, it's Britt.
Okay.
Yeah, so Britt's coming. Britt's great, really interesting. We'll reveal a bit more, but it's basically the theme is, how you can excel despite chronic illness.
Okay. Oh, that sounds fantastic. So we've got Britt next week, and then we've got Brad later this month, Brad Kearns, the third visit with the fantastic Brad Kearns. And we will hopefully reschedule with Leonie and Michaela as well. and loads of other good stuff coming up. So thank you for everything. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.